It's Tuesday, June 23rd, 2015, and this is a commentary about the University of Utah Orthopedic Center and a doctor there named David J. Petron. According to online research, Dr. Petron is also a doctor for the University of Utah basketball and football teams, according to what I found anyway. He also works at the Orthopedic Center for the University of Utah, a state of Utah institution. Yesterday I went there to try to get some help for some left side knee, foot, and hip pain, but mostly knee and foot. And when I arrived at the office, the receptionist lady said, "Oh, please fill out this survey on a computer pad." So I began filling the survey out, and then an MA lady came out a couple minutes later, and I had not finished the survey yet. They didn't give me time to finish it. And then she brought me back to the room, and I said, "Oh, hey, can I go use the restroom?" And then she said, "Okay," and I went quickly use the restroom in the nearby hallway and came back a few seconds later, and then the pad had turned black. And I asked the MA lady, "Why did the pad turn black?" And she said, "Oh, don't worry about that. We'll just deal with what we're dealing with right here, answering my questions." So she was upset that I was asking about the black color survey pad, and I thought, well, why do they want me to do it anyway if they don't care if I complete it or not? I thought later. So anyway, I answered the lady's questions, and then one of her questions was, she was really kind of snotty-nosed and rude with her question, the tone of her questions. And then she said, "Well, what's your height and weight?" And I said, "My height is such and such. But my weight, I don't know exactly. I know approximately. But if you could weigh me, that'd be great." And she brushed off my question, and then after she asked me some other questions, I asked her a second time, "Is there a scale you can weigh me on?" And then she said, "Oh, there's not a scale in this hallway." And I had been to the Orthopedic Center in the past. I'd had 2 carpal tunnel surgeries there. I had a knee evaluation with potential surgery. So I'm not exactly a new patient. And I've also been a patient of Dr. Petron before they moved to the new Orthopedic Center location. And that other location, he was a lot nicer, I guess. Now, not so much. But anyway, we'll get to that right now. So the lady left the room, and I was thinking to myself, I wonder if I know that on this second floor of the Orthopedic Center, there's another clinic, and maybe they have a scale that we can use to weigh me for 2 seconds, because I've been to that other clinic, the other clinic also. There's like a north clinic and a south clinic, and so I was at one of the two, and then while I was waiting for Petron to come in the room, I said, "Okay, I'm going to walk out and use the restroom again quickly." That's what happens when you take blood pressure medicine. You have to use the restroom a little more often in the morning. That's life. So, as I was out there for about 30 seconds, I walked out into the external atrium hallway place, and I asked the other clinic staff, just a 10-second walk down the hall, "Hey, is there a scale in there patients can use to be weighed on?" And they said, "Yeah, but we don't have time to take you back right now to check." So I was thinking, okay, I cannot answer this rude MA's lady question about what my weight is unless I'm weighed on a scale. How about that? So I found out that there was a scale there, and I walked back to the clinic where Petron is, and I told the front end lady, hey, there's a scale at the other place. Do you think you guys could weigh me on that other scale before I see Petron? And then she hemmed the front end receptionist lady who initially checked me in, got my insurance card and stuff. She hemmed and hawed and she said, oh, I'll check on it. And then about 5 or 10 minutes later, a male MA kid with a really angry, snotty-nosed tone to himself, with him pervading his ambiance as well. He came out and said, well, hey, you want to see Petron now? And I said, well, I'd like to be weighed on a scale over there. And he said, well, do you want to see Petron or not? Maybe you just want to cancel the visit and reschedule. And I said, no, I don't want to reschedule. I didn't want to reschedule. I just wanted to be weighed on a scale at that other clinic that was a 5-second walk away, and then go back into the room and have Petron see me. And so I was standing out in the external public hallway, and the door was open, and then I saw Petron in the distance, and because Petron was ready to see me like this, if you're not ready to go like this, that's where you snap your fingers. If you're not ready to go as a patient like this, you're out of here. So then this male MA, he walked with me over to the other clinic where the scale was, and he as we were walking, he said, well, we're not sure if we're going to be able to see you today. I mean, I'll check if there's a scale back here, but we're not really sure if we can see you today because Dr. Petron's very busy. So this MA, he was very upset that I, as a lowly patient, was asking to be weighed on a scale. So anyway, then this male MA disappeared and never came back. So then I waited another 10 to 15 minutes. And then a manager guy came out, and he was angry too. This male manager guy, he said, well, Dr. Petron's very busy, and he can't see you today because he's very busy, And then I told the guy, I was the first person on Petron's schedule. How can he be too busy if I'm the first person on the schedule anyway? And can't they spend 10 seconds weighing me on a scale at the other clinic? He said, no, maybe we can get you in to see a foot doctor here, but Dr. Petron just doesn't want to see you because you walked out. And so then our conversation ended, and I left. So, but I never spoke with Petron. Yeah, I saw him in a distance, 40 feet away, in a hallway. And when I saw Petron at their previous location for the orthopedic doctors group, he was, generally friendly. And so before the visit, I saw him in the hallway too. When I was being brought in with the female MA, I saw him and I smiled at him. I thought, he's a pretty nice guy. But no, not really a nice guy in hindsight. So I called to the customer service department for the university hospital. I said, well, hey, do you think Dr. Petron could call me back? And do you think the medical director of your place can call me back? I mean, I was turned away after all, and my wife did have kids at the university hospital. Is that worth something? When my insurance company causes tens of thousands of dollars to be transferred to the university system to help pay all the salaries there, and bearing in mind that the state of Utah is the University of Utah is a state of Utah entity, supposed to serve the public, serve the citizenry. Do you think these people who are public servants can call me back and talk to me about the fact that they booted me out because I wanted to be weighted on a scale? I mean, think about it, how crazy it is. Patient goes into a doctor's office, asked to be weighed on a scale. They say, well, we don't have a scale in this hallway. Well, how about another hallway? Can you check that? Can you walk 5 seconds down another hallway? Maybe there's a scale there. Can we weigh me on that scale? And that reminds me, this manager guy, male manager guy who came out to boot me out the door from the Orthopedic Center, which I had 2 carpal tunnel surgeries, he said it's Dr. Petron's protocol to just ask for the height and weight and to not weigh people on a scale. That's his protocol. Oh, protocol schmotocol. Well, it's my protocol as a citizen of Utah, as a taxpayer, and as a patient of the University of Utah, whose family are patients too, whose wife had kids at the hospital, whose kids are patients of doctors at the university system. It's my protocol to not just be pushed around like some little mouse by some God complex doctor and his angry staff. Okay, so complaints have been filed with the state of Utah and with relevant federal agencies about this matter. And I was thinking, last night, yesterday evening, and this morning, these people, even if something comes to those complaints, they're not going to really call me up and apologize. Dr. Petron is way too up high on his scale dealing with the sports team for the university and whatever else he does. He's too high up on the totem pole, and I'm way too low as a patient. I'm way too low on the totem pole in their eyes for them to call me back. So that's fine. But in this new world of social media, where you get to talk to other people about your life experiences, when doctors are rude and when their staff are rude, there's not going to be a vacuum. We're not dealing in the days where we have to rely on some government agency who is almost completely on the side of doctors to hide whatever your complaint is, like the Utah Division of Professional Licensing or whatever, essentially the state medical board. They don't reveal what the complaints are of patients against doctors. They want to hide that because the doctors want that. The doctors don't want people to know if they're kind of snotty-nosed, God-complex, pompous know-nothings who like to engage in games of whack-a-mole when patients stick their head up and say, "Hey, could I be weighed on a scale? Is that too much for you guys?" So, anyway, specialist doctors are generally more rude. That's kind of a universal. At the University of Utah, sometimes they're a little bit less rude, but not always. Another problem with the university is when you go see specialist doc, especially, they'll have some young, snotty-nosed kid student doctor come in to see you first, and more often than not, they're rude to you too. My family has experienced that. So, with other specialty doctors. So, whenever I see a specialty doctor and they have a student come in, I usually say, "Hey, I'm going to start doing this more." No, I don't think I want the student doctor to see me, because they're usually even more rude than the other doctor, than the older one. At least the older one's been around where he has to deal with human beings more than the young doctor has, and sometimes they're mellowed a little tiny bit by that. But apparently not too much in the case of Dr. Petron, Dr. David J. Petron, public servant, employee of the state of Utah. And there in America, there's something called the First Amendment. First Amendment, where you get to complain about government officials. So that's my complaint. All right? University of Utah Orthopedic Center, David J. Petron. Unfriendly staff. And if you ask to be weighed, they'll boot you out the door. Okay? And I got a wife and kids who are patients at the university. Wife who had kids at the U hospital. But that doesn't mean much to these people. It's doctors up here, patients down here. Doctors say this. If you say, oh, doctor, I'd like to be weighed on a scale. Is that too much to ask? "Oh, my protocol does not allow for that." And all his staff will circle around him and say, "Dr. Petron's protocol does not allow you to be weighed on a scale. No, we cannot allow that. You're out of here." Like in a football game. It's the ref saying, "You're out of here." That's what they do at the U hospital. You're out of there if you poke your head up and say, "Hey, excuse me, I'd like to be weighed on a scale. Is that too much to ask?" Yes, it is for Dr. Petron and the University of Utah Orthopedic Center. That's my comment for today. Thank you.